right, well, we have an amazing lineup of today. We are starting with subquery, then block-eden.xyz, Blaze, Scalps, High Yield, Alfred, Analivio, and last but not least, Nebula and Quasar. So a little bit shorter than usual today, which is short but sweet. Very excited, and let's head into our first upcoming contester, subquery. All right, let me now go back to these to here and to get subquery into the stage. I invited you to speak, James.
Hey, Anki, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Well. Very good, thank you. And we'll get started. I got 5 minutes, right?
You got 5 minutes. Is your remote working?
Let's have a look.
Send it by Discord.
Yep, it sure is. Let's get started. All right, so thanks everyone for joining today and listening in. My name is James Bailey. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Subquery. Subquery is a data indexer, and we are proposing to add support for Stellar and the Soroban smart contract layer within Stellar itself. So a bit of a background, what an indexer is. A data indexer is here to solve the problem, which is about query speed. If you're building a decentralized application on a network like Stellar, you need to be able to access data on that network. And one of the biggest challenges of blockchain networks is that RPC clients aren't that efficient in terms of querying data. And it's very hard to query data that's more complicated. And that's when an indexer comes into play. So Subquery is a data indexer that is here to solve that challenge of querying data from a blockchain, because doing it directly from an RPC isn't really feasible. In terms of where it sits in the ecosystem, so if you're building a dApp, this is what it kind of looks like. Like you have a presentation layer, you might make a query for an RPC to the virtual machine layer. Stellar's obviously involved there. You might have some oracles on the side and storage, but the data indexer is there to provide information back to your dApp to make it more responsive, more intuitive, and make the user experience better for your users. So replacing this with some kind of names we'll recognize, you might have a React front end, your Soroban's just smart contract layer in Stellar, and you can use Subquery to index data from these different layers. So Subquery is an open source block explorer, or open source indexing project, that allows developers to index, transform, and query any blockchain data to power the application. So essentially the outcome of using Subquery is that you get a custom API for your decentralized application, and it will work seamlessly across both Stellar and Soroban. In a way, the outcome here is that you don't have to worry about centralized indexing solutions. You don't have to worry about APIs from third parties. You can build your own custom indexer, your own custom API, and you don't, you can leverage all this other information and tools that we provide. We do a lot of work around 4 different areas about Subquery. We're trying to make sure it's the fastest possible indexer out there. And we do a lot of under the hood stuff around computation, caching, and other tools around that. We make sure it's flexible, so you can index whatever data you want in any shape and form you want. It's open source, of course. It's open for contributions, and you can adapt and extend it how you want. And of course, it's universal. So it works in Stellar, or will work soon on Stellar and Soroban, but also works across most of the EVM chains, Cosmos, Algorand, Near, Polkadot. So wherever you're building an application on, we provide indexing support for you. This is a kind of a indication of our current level of chain support. Within Cosmos and Polkadot, for example, we support many different parachains and Cosmos zones. I think it's somewhere about 70 different networks that we support right now, but these are some of the main ones. When we add support for Stellar and Soroban, it will work with both of those, as I mentioned. But we also run and provide a managed service. So you can run it yourself. It's open source. You can index data and you can run the index yourself, provide a lot of information about how to do that. But we also provide a managed service where you can deploy your project to, and we run the hosting for you. So you don't have to worry about production infrastructure. You don't have to worry about scaling that. It's the easiest way to get from zero to building a dApp and deploying that in Stellar and having a cool UI on top of that. So my slides just kicked up. We're also building a decentralized network. So you can run it yourself, you can run it on a hosted service, but you can also deploy this soon on a decentralized network. And so just to summarize, before we finish this up, the outcome of what we're trying to do and what we're providing to Stellar as part of this grant package is we're going to provide an open source indexer that allows you to index any data, both on the main Stellar core blockchain or on the Soroban kind of WASM layer on top of it. You can use that to index any contracts that you deploy there. You can index any data from those, and you can provide that as an API to your front end. So if you've ever used like other indexes like the Graph, for example, the developer experience of building a subquery project is very similar to the Graph in terms of how you go about building it and the kind of information that you get back from it. So that's really subquery in a nutshell and in a very short period. I think I've just under 4 minutes. So feel free to jump through any questions, I think. Yes, so Morgan Wild, the service is not a blockchain explorer. Many people have built blockchain explorers off it. We just focus on the indexer tool. So a blockchain explorer will have the indexing tool, but also that UI to show different ledgers and transactions within those ledgers. We just build the tool that other people can use to build, for example, a blockchain explorer. And ideas that would be good to see some examples of how it works with JS script. I can send you a link to our documentation. We don't have anything ready yet for Soroban. It's in beta testing, but there are plenty of quick start guides for different networks that will allow you to visualize how it works. It's a very similar process for each. And then Morgan Wild, one more question. Do you use GraphQL for queries? Yes, we do. We provide an off-the-shelf GraphQL endpoint. Of course, many of our customers, when you run a subquery, there's 3 services, an indexer, a Postgres database, and a GraphQL query service. Many of our customers will index data into the database and build their own API on top of that, or ingest that into their own data pipeline. So potentially export that off to BigQuery or put a Metabase style BI tool over top of that database. So it's very flexible and open in terms of what you can do.
Awesome. Yeah, you already saved me the the opportunity to ask questions. But no, that's all good. Looks like if anyone has any more questions, feel free to put them into the chat now. In the meantime, I have another question for myself. What ecosystem partners are you looking to work with for this indexing service?
Yeah, so our focus is about building a developer tool. And the outcome of what we want to achieve here is a fundamental tool that anyone else in the Soroban community or the Stellar community can use to build their applications. So our focus is providing the best tool that we can. And a lot of the work that we'll do in this as part of this this project pitch or this project that we're doing is not just the tool itself, but also the developer education around that. So we'll be building example projects. We'll be releasing quick start guides, very detailed technical documentation, with video walkthroughs. We'll be doing workshops for the community because all of this is a tool that developers will use to build their own applications. And so for us to be successful and for Stellar to be successful, it's all about making it easy as possible for developers to learn how to use these tools and to learn how to build on Stellar and on Soroban. And so that incentive is aligned between both subquery and Stellar Foundation.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure the rest of the developer community here as well. Last question from Raheem, and I think like the link might answer it, but just for the audience to kind of hear, how would a user define what would be indexed and how is it formatted?
Very basically, you define a few trigger events on chain. So for example, you want to index certain transaction types, you define those as triggers. You'll then send that data off to a mapping function. And within that mapping function, which you write in TypeScript, you can extract any information you want. You can save it in any format. You can aggregate it with other stuff. You can retrieve and update data in the store. You can make an API call to CoinGecko to get latest whatever you want. But essentially, you have the flexibility to both define the trigger points of when you want to index something, but also how you index that and what you save it as. So you have complete flexibility of how you define the data that you save and how it's formatted.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your pitch. This was really great to learn more about a subquery. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to your progress.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. All right. Well, next up we have Stellar Soroban indexer, another indexer by Block Eden XYZ. All right, Tian, are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. Are you able to move the slides?
Let me see. Next slide. Probably no. So could you help me move to next slide?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Hello, everyone. My name is Tian, and I'm co-founder of Block Eden XYZ. And we're building Soroban indexer and GraphQL. And next slide, please.
The video is playing.
Great. So if you go to our Block Eden XYZ website, you can go to the solutions and the Soroban indexer page. And you can see that what we're building is basically the GraphQL API and the business analytics, so that developers go to our platform, could connect to the data and build your app upon it directly. And for the reason you could use Block Eden XYZ is that for security, we have secured up to $45 million asset with our infrastructure. And we also serve with scalability and faster speed of development. And here is how it works. So basically, assuming you are a asset issuer or wallet or payment provider, or you are building the app, basically previously you connect to Stellar native with the Horizon API, and or you connect to Soroban RPC with its native node. However, when you want to get derived data upon those components, you have to index by yourself, store it on your own database. However, with our indexer, we can fetch the data for you from Capital Core as well as Horizon, so that I put it into the database, and then you can query it with GraphQL as well as the business intelligence platform. And then what we're building, as I said, is Indexer GraphQL API, and it provides instant access to transactions, events, ledger entries, and token contract. And also for business analytics, you can have a UI to inspect data, and meanwhile also provide Soroban RPC standard service, so that it's commercial one with high availability, and it's already on our API marketplace. However, for other components like previously mentioned GraphQL or business intelligence, they are still in build. And don't be a stranger. We're not just a API vendor. We actually want to be the service infrastructure layer for all those awesome Web3 developers. So if you are building the awesome killer app to push Web3 forward to every human being on the planet, and our goal is to be your best ally. So we prepared a special offer for incredible builders here of the Stellar community. So if you scan the QR code and sign up, we have prepared a exclusive offer for you and $10 credit. So let's see how it will work. When you click or scan the QR and go to sign up, put your basic information. Verify email. And then in the dashboard, create a API key. By the way, because you sign up with a QR code here with a special offer, you got 600 million more computer units than a basic sign up. Okay, you have a Soroban API key. And then click it into our API marketplace. Previously, we did have many other nodes and Aptos indexer. Now we are having Stellar Fusion and Soroban. And you can grab the collection string and develop upon it. For the GraphQL one, we're still developing, so it's not published yet. However, we did get started to index some data, and it's already put into the data analytics dashboard. So if we go there,
Hi, Tian. I think we're coming up on time, and the video isn't playing anymore. Just FYI, I think there was a bit of a delay with your mic, and maybe. Yeah, are you finished? Is it good?
Yeah. So there's a lot of delay. So no problem. So please go to next slide.
Yeah, it's on the next slide.
Okay, great. So basically, for the roadmap, there are a couple items we will go through, and currently we are at 20 or 30% of the work over there, and the goal is to having our MVP up and running for the conference next month. And yeah, so that's the roadmap. After that, any question?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for presenting. And it looks like Morgan's already active on it. we have a question here. So from Morgan, how will you tackle XDR data in your queries? Let's say I want to query contract storage that holds a map between an account and a number. Will I be able to query inside the map, or would I just get the raw encoded map?
So that's a very good question. For now, I already get encoded data from the event. However, we haven't figured out a way to properly decode those values, and so that all the values are put into database column in JSON and indexed properly yet. However, we imagine once they are decoded as JSON, and somehow for the token contract, for example, if those fields are pretty much structured, then you can search it directly. However, for those unstructured data, we haven't figured out a straightforward way, but we will see. And Morgan, if you are subscribing to our newsletter, we will definitely keep you updated, or we can connect in DM.
Awesome, I love that. I kind of also want to get all of the Soroban indexers together and all of the good minds in like one space to kind of talk through like everything regarding indexers on Soroban and how to move forward too. Great. Well, let me see. There's another question for you in the chat, which you're welcome to answer in the chat. We do have to move forward now with the next one, but thank you so much for presenting, Tian.
Thank you, and I will respond in the chat. All right.
Amazing. All right. Well, we are ready for our next project today. The next up is Blaze. All right, Fayam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Anka?
Yeah, I'm super excited for everyone speaking today. All right, are you able to move to the next slide?
Let me see here.
Oh, other one, yeah.
Other
Good.
one?
Yeah, no, you're good. You were good. Yeah. Okay. Take it away.
Fantastic. All right. So hi, everybody. My name is Fayam. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Blaze, and we're building the best payments app on the planet for digital nomads. So to start, I'd like to just tell you a little bit about us as a team. We're 4 seasoned engineers and designers. We've launched a VC-backed startup together. We've worked at top-tier companies like Bitpanda, Spotify, and Artsy. And why are we building for digital nomads? We're building for them because that's who we are. Luke has been to 40 plus different countries around the world, lived and worked in most of them. Igor and Kieran are both expats and travelers in their own right. And I recently completed a 6-month tour of Asia. So on our travels, we experience certain issues around payments for digital nomads. It's difficult to find an application that works for both you and your foreign friend, especially if you have friends from multiple different countries. If they do work, many of these have high fees stemming from traditional financial infrastructure. And even if it satisfies those 2 criteria, a lot of these are geared towards either remittances or they're meant to be full-scale banking solutions. They're not meant for the kind of casual social financial transactions which nomads want to do on a regular basis. So that's why we're building Blaze. It's going to be a peer-to-peer payments application built on top of Stellar, launching in Latin America sometime in early fall 2023, we're hoping. And now I'd love to just kind of cut to a demo. And how do I get this next? Got you. Okay. So as soon as you open the app, you'll see you get dropped into a privacy conscious social feed that allows you to get a sense for what your friends are up to on the network, and to a certain extent also the wider network as well. The next tab over is an opportunity to manage your Blaze debit card, which allows you to spend your balance anywhere Visa is accepted. Next tab over, there was a Discover tab. That's an opportunity for you to find local businesses that accept payments with Blaze. That addresses a kind of payment anxiety where you're not sure if while you're on the road you need to bring cash or if your card will work. Here we're demoing the payments tab. So one thing I'd like to highlight about our payments experience is that we've really tried to make this a very casual, very social friendly experience. You can leave a message for your transaction, include a GIF, an emoji, it'll show up in the social feed. So we really want this to be a casual social interaction which involves money rather than an overt financial transaction, which we feel is kind of the norm for a lot of payments apps. And we think that that really reduces the friction around talking about money with your friends. Here we're demoing the process to get money into the application. So for every geography that we support, we're going to be integrating with a Stellar anchor in that region. In North America, this is the North American flow. You can see that you're able to connect your bank account via Plaid, and then there'll be a persona KYC, which you need to complete the first time. And then after that, you're able to seamlessly ACH money in and out of the system as needed. At launch, we're going to have North America supported, also a few Latin American countries supported. And, with time, we're obviously hoping to make this something that you could use wherever you go around the world. That's why we're very bullish on Stellar. So the persona KYC is going to keep running in the background. Looks like I've got about 2 minutes left, and I do want to touch on some things which aren't in the demo, but we're very excited about. In particular, we're going to be building 2 Soroban smart contracts as part of this work. The first one is actually to facilitate that debit card feature, which I mentioned earlier. Blaze is a self-custodial app, but when you swipe your debit card, you want that money to move out of your wallet without needing to approve the transaction again in your application. So one way to do that is using the token contract on Soroban. But if you use the token contract, which allows you to get permission to move funds on behalf of another wallet, that gives you permission to move those funds anywhere, which presents a security risk. Because you can imagine if we have millions of users, millions of dollars, and we can move that anywhere, that's a very tasty target for a hacker. So we're going to build a custom account, which creates an abstraction on top of the allowance feature on the token contract, giving us permission to move funds only to and from a user wallet and a debit card clearance account, which preserves self-custody minimizes security risk, and also keeps that user experience clean, where as soon as they swipe the card, the money moves. So that's the first contract. The second contract that we'll be building is to facilitate donations. This was inspired by Cash Abroad. Shout out to you guys. We want to create a feature where, let's say I'm doing a 1050 transaction with a friend, I can round up to $1, and those 50 cents will get donated to a charity in the country that I'm traveling to. If I'm in Mexico, it will get sent to a Mexican charity. If I'm in France, it will get sent to a French charity. And this is a seamless, simple way for users to financially connect to and give back to the places that they're visiting. Over time, we hope to make this into a protocol that the entire Stellar and Soroban ecosystem can make use of for their charitable donations. And I'm running out of time here, but we'll be talking more about these at Meridian in September. Hope to see some of you guys there. And for now, we'd just like to say thanks and leave the floor for questions.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for presenting, Fayam. All right, we have some cool questions here as well. Oh, cool. Sorry, I read one of the questions and that's how I got it. So Darren says, this is cool. So one of the toughest problems is customer acquisition. Do you have any specific plans to attract pioneers to become your users?
Yeah. My, our overall approach to this is that payments is a crowded space, and I think the way to stand out in a crowded space is by niching down and becoming all pervasive for a very, very small selection of people. So what does that mean? We're going to be launching in Mexico City, and my co-founder Luke lives in Mexico City, so he's very plugged into the Nomad communities there. We're going to be doing certain things to seed the app in many Nomad-heavy social circles and also professional circles. At the same time, we are actually building a solution which I didn't overtly mention in the demo. It's called Pay with Blaze, POS system for businesses to accept payments via Blaze, expand their reach outside of cash, etc. There are certain benefits which I can discuss. But we're going to be getting businesses all over a very select geography to accept payments with Blaze, and then we're going to be seeding the app in social circles in that geography. And so for a very small selection of people, it will look like we're pervasive. That, I believe, will be enough to kind of kick it off in select cities in Mexico City. That's also a repeatable process that we can do one geography at a time. I think that will get us from 0 to 1,000, perhaps 0 to 10,000 users. From there, obviously, your growth strategies will need to change, but I feel good about using that for the first, 1 to 10,000.
Awesome. That's really exciting. It looks like also like Diego and Ernesto say, really cool UI, love it. So people liking the app looks already. Mike asks, really neat, what currencies will you support at launch?
Everything on the app is going to run in USDC. Users will be able to view their balance in their local currency. So if you're in Mexico, under the hood, it'll be USDC, but you can view your balance in pesos. Why we chose this is, number one, it eliminates the need to do conversions for every transaction, so it just makes everything simpler. Number two, the dollar is obviously a very strong currency, so for most people, they'll be happy to hold that. Especially in our launch geography of Latin America, we feel where there's a lot of stability, instability in the currencies. I think people will be happy to hold their value in dollars. In the future, if we really feel that people want to be able to change currencies in the app itself, that may be an advanced feature that we launch. But we feel that at the jump, keeping everything in USDC will be sufficient.
Awesome. All right. Let me see. We have another question here of Morgan. I would love to hear a user story of who would use it and how.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my co-founder Luke is the guy. Like I said, he's lived and worked in 40 different countries around the world. He's currently in Mexico City, but he's from New York. Every day, the kind of user stories that we anticipate here is, for example, Luke may go to dinner with an Italian person tonight. He may be splitting his rent bill with a local Mexican roommate that he found, and then he may be, visiting Tulum and sharing an Airbnb with somebody that he met, from France, right? And each of these people he needs to do these kind of casual social payments with, but they're all from different banking systems. A given app may or may not work for any given pair. So the vision is to make Blaze something that, wherever he goes, whoever he's having dinner with, splitting an Airbnb with, splitting the rent with, in his lifestyle, he'd be able to use Blaze for that.
That's so awesome. I love how the solution is made so closely to actually the founder's needs here. Yeah, cool. So maybe actually it's 11:35 and there's lots of questions here in the chat. I can't even keep up. So I recommend to get into the chat and answer them async as well. But thank you so much for presenting. It looks like folks are really excited.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. If anybody wants to chat, our emails are on the board. Feel free to DM us also on Discord, and thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, looks like next up is Scalps. So Scalps team, let's come to the stage. Greg, is there someone else presenting?
Yes, please. Hi, everyone. Hi, Anke. Please, could you invite our team member, Samir? He raised a hand.
All right.
Let me turn on the camera.
Are you able to move slides? Hi, Greg and Samir.
Yes,
all right.
We are ready.
Take it away.
Yes, so let's start with our project. Its name is Scalps. It's basically the map-based merchant discovery system to drive customers to stores through loyalty system built on Soroban smart contract. So we are building a multi-tiered loyalty system which has like base level as a points token, which is used for the campaign creation, and the higher tier it's NFT feature. And also we accept the cryptocurrency payments, but more about it in next slides. Let's go to the second slide. So we have two apps. This is user app, and user app features the map with all crypto-friendly vendors on it, with the ability to filter it. To any like Stellar supported cryptocurrencies, say USDC or Stellar itself or points token, ability to claim the points which are created by the vendors itself and distributed on the map, and ability to pay, call, message, and send payments. Next slide is loyalty system itself. Let's dive into that. And the first base level is the points token, which is basically the Stellar asset used for campaign creation by the businesses. So suppose you have a business, you want to distribute your discounts. And in traditional discount loyalty system, it's so hard, and blockchain give us so much flexibility with it. So merchants are able now to create the campaign that they will target some users, assign the discount per user price, and also distribute within the physical store radius. And the points can be claimed in store or at some geographical areas which are on the map. So they act like a discounts or redemption or the gift cards, So next one is the uppercase. It's loyalty NFTs, which are built on a Soroban smart contract. And those are also giving the options for the merchants to mint them, to categorize them and add to the collection. So suppose you want some summer collection for your users and retain or attract new users, you are able to put these NFTs on your profile and showcase them, plus distribute it. So those loyalty NFTs include features like tiered VIP membership, discount cards, event access, ticketing, branded collectibles, like I mentioned, during summer, winter, and so on. We think that this thing will drive higher the trust of the customers to the business. Next is the showcase of the dashboard of the business app. And so the dashboard has really simplified the look. The business owners just indicate the amounts they need. Smart contracts executes and reads all this payment and deducts the points provided the user wants to spend points or just merely pay with Stellar or USDC. So the next one is a process map. This is basically the showcase how all these three things are interacting with each other. It's Soroban smart contract, Stellar, and Scalps platform. Next, let's talk about our team a little bit. We are pretty much 12 people here and across 2 continents, in South Africa and Georgia. And our team has experience in traditional loyalty system, namely in Standard Bank in South Africa, which work with pension funds, with banking pension fund for the people. So next, I will ask Samir to explain the demo explanation of our first deliverable. If you could start the video, Anke, it would be great.
Yeah, will do. Let me see. Just FYI, we're pretty much on time, so yeah.
So Yeah, my name is Samir. So I'm basically involved in the development of the app itself. So the first use case that we're covering is where the merchant actually sets up a campaign. And so basically the merchant would select the number of users they want to target, also the discount per user, and also the radius of the campaign itself. And then what they do is set up the actual start and end date, and they basically see a summary of the campaign and then pay for that particular campaign. So the loyalty points token gets minted and it gets added to the actual campaign wallet itself. So after the transaction is confirmed, the merchant would be able to see the actual list of campaigns that they've got a summary of. So the next one is where the customer can actually claim points from the merchant themselves. So this is another web app basically where the customer logs into and connects the actual wallet itself. So we're using Wallet Connect, so they'd actually be able to connect the Lobster wallet if they're using Stellar, and then they'd be able to claim, go to the actual merchant's profile, and then they'd be able to claim points. So in this case, you can only claim points for one merchant at this stage. So that concludes the actual claiming process, and then we also have a payment process as well. So the merchant itself will set up a payment within the vendor app itself, and then it will generate a QR code. The customer will then scan that QR code, and then they can choose how much points they want to spend from the quota that they've got. And then that concludes the actual transaction. That point gets the points get burnt at that point. And then so that basically covers the main use cases with the loyalty points that we've built so far.
Awesome.
So that concludes the demo.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for presenting. Yeah, I know that 5 minutes goes super fast, right? Let me see if I can. You have a next slide, right? Oh. Okay. We should be all set. All right, we have some questions here for you. So how many, so Morgan asks, how many physical businesses in your estimate will you have using Scalps this year?
It will be around 300 in Georgia and South Africa, approximately these numbers. Because we are targeting now the South African region and then planning the expansion into the Middle East.
Awesome. Morgan says 300 is, did you say 300? 300 is a lot, Morgan says.
I think it's ambitious, but yeah, that's our target.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing. I think definitely. And so what are some of the other next steps that in terms of your Stellar and Soroban integration you're looking to expand to?
So the next step is actually we developed a proof of concept around the NFT use cases. So for the loyalty discount cards, the membership, and the event-based NFTs. So that's the next step that we're going to be working on for integrating with Soroban as well.
That's super exciting. Have you looked at Soroban before already? Oh, actually, wait. We have a question from the audience. Mike asks, is there a certain vertical or type of business you're targeting, like a mom and pop stores, retail stores, or gaming shops, etc.?
We basically targeting at this stage. Most of them are coffee shops. We based in Batumi, in Georgia, and then there's also some of the stores which are related to people that only sell things. You could say mom and pop shops, but not exactly mom and pop shops. So. But mostly it's coffee shops. We sort of like digital nomads. frequent the places as well. So I suppose that's our initial target market.
Great. Oh, wow. Again, like for digital nomads, just like Blaze as well. Super exciting. All right. Well, thank you so much for presenting, Greg and Samir.
Thanks, Ankit.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, super excited to see like also this growth. Definitely keeps us up to date. Like if you're onboarding these locations and if you're also achieving your goal.
Yeah,
I see Morgan is excited. All right.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much again. We are ready for our next project for the project pitches. High yield. Scott, how are you doing?
Hey, Anki, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Are you able to move the slides?
Not seeing that. Am I missing something here? Am I supposed to click on the screen?
Just send the remote to you on Discord DM.
Oh, in Discord DM. I see. Okay.
All right, I hear you clicking, but I can move the slides for you too if you want to. Just say next.
Okay.
Take it away.
Let's do that. All right. So I'm Scott from High Yield. Thanks for having me here. I think we can go to the next slide. Talk a little bit about my background. So me and my co-founder here have a lot of experience in traditional finance. Been working in the crypto industry since 2018, and have a lot of product development experience as well. So we're looking forward to bringing that to Stellar. Next slide. So the main issue that we're addressing with high yield is the fragmented liquidity, just market fragmentation in general across the tokenized asset space. That's the vertical that we're building in, tokenized real world assets like government bonds, corporate bonds, asset-backed securities, and also private market credit. If you go to the next slide, you can see how finding the right opportunity for investors. I mean, this is what you're looking at in the space right now. I myself have had to deal with this quite a bit as I like allocating some of my capital to these types of deals. And, from my background in traditional finance, like something like Polytrade, for example, that has a specialty niche in underwriting invoice financing, right? Like giving loans against invoices, their specialty and their business focus should be underwriting invoices and giving out good loans. They don't also build financial products around it. But right now, all of these issuers have their own user interface, have their own, have to fight for their own liquidity, and they don't have kind of one place they can go like they do in traditional finance to issue these products and have financial products built around it. So that's kind of where high yield plans to come in. If you go to the next slide, we'll see how we're going to do that. So our main plan is to aggregate liquidity and offerings into one platform and enable leverage against them using our custom-built high-yield lending market. Me and my team, we pre-vet offerings on behalf of investors to make sure that we're only approving good deals and that have conservative lending practices. And then one of the key benefits of this from an investor perspective is it's just one KYC to access all of these different offerings. Like on the previous slide, all of those offerings are scattered across a bunch of different blockchain networks. You have to create a KYC, you have to manage your position on all these different networks, and it becomes quite cumbersome as I've experienced myself. So we can go to the next slide here. So just a quick look at the lending market. I know we're running low on time here. It's quick. So I'll just describe it from the perspective of a borrower and how it unlocks a ton of demand that's currently sidelined in the real world asset space. So from a borrower's perspective, like let's go into the Polytrade example. In the current market structure, they would buy invoice-backed loans from Polytrade and they would just hold them to maturity. There's nothing else they can really do with that. If they bought it through high yield, they'd be able to buy, let's say, 1 million of invoice financing loans, deposit them as collateral in our lending market, and then borrow against it, let's say, $800,000 to go buy more loans so they can get a leveraged credit return, which is something I worked on a lot when I was, back in my Deutsche Bank days. Or they could take that $800,000 and buy XLM, and then they have a yield-bearing Stellar position, for example, and that's not something you can custom build for yourself right now, given the current market structure. So for sake of time, I think we can go to the next slide. So these are the types of primary offerings we'll have. I mentioned some of these already. On that earlier slide, we had the on-chain offerings. Just go back briefly there. I know we're running low on time, but The main focus to start is going to be treasury bonds. That's what's hot in the market right now. That's what most people are demanding, given the risk-free rate is so high. But as we expand, we'll be going further out on the risk spectrum, working with partners like, Polytrade, Goldfinch, Maple Finance, and more. So you can go to the next slide there. Proof of concept, we'll walk through that on the next slide. That's already done. Next step is we're building the high yield lending market and doing that on Stellar, expanding our offerings and working with partner protocols. Longer term, we want to expand our total addressable market with by increasing our compliance so we can offer it more broadly to retail. And then also have another funnel for deposits coming into our lending market by working with a consumer-facing mobile app to take in fiat deposits, which is part of the excitement I have of working with the Stellar ecosystem. Next slide. All right, now let's walk through the example. You'll see the proof of concept was done on Ethereum and Avalanche, and we're currently building the Stellar implementation. The first offering, going into the profile settings here, you can kind of just see how you have, you connect your wallet, you go through KYC, you set up a username and password. And then once you pass KYC, you can start investing. So our proof of concept offering was just a 2-month treasury bill that actually just matured recently. So like our main goal here was to make sure that everything worked well, both on and off chain, which we're happy to say that it did, and we can focus more on the implementation. You can see that's where you would redeem. Those are the full disclosures, like the legal documents, an overview of the offering. And then the credit vault is just a different type of offering. That's like a loan to high yield specifically to help us build our balance sheet. And that allows us to originate more offerings. And that's it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for presenting. That was great. And yeah, definitely 5 minutes goes by super fast. So yeah, we're having Morgan asks, so you'll enable buying US Treasury bonds on XLM. If I hold them to maturity, how will you settle the returns?
Right. Yeah. So we're working very closely, or we have a Circle account. Like the infrastructure that Circle has laid out is extremely is really seamless. The way the principal and interest flows from USDC back to US dollars into our custodial account, and then from the custodial account back to USDC is extremely seamless. So yes, you would buy treasury bills, and then at time of maturity, the flow of funds would come from a custodial account that's managed and regulated within the United States, flows through Circle into USDC, into the smart contract on Soroban to be distributed to all holders.
Awesome. Great. And so I think Morgan is typing here. So while he's typing, I think attendees is wondering what the URL is. So feel free to pop that into the chat later on.
Sure.
Yeah. And so what are some of the next steps look like? I guess you mentioned, but a little bit about it, but yeah, I would love to kind of learn more about your kind of growth in the Soroban ecosystem.
Yeah, the next steps is kind of working with partners. I've been in discussion with a few different issuers in the space to bring and to have a number of partner offerings as part of our go-to-market strategy. But we're also, I think, a key part of our go-to-market strategy is going to be offering leverage against T-bills so you can get a higher return. So like I gave in my example, you would buy treasury bills from us, then you would deposit it as collateral in our lending market and borrow against it at a cheaper rate. So you'd be able to kind of loop that trade several times and get a higher return on your T-bills. And that's kind of what we're going to go to market with in the Stellar ecosystem.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Definitely keep us updated. We have time for one more question. So Morgan asks, what are the protections for bondholders holding through your platform? Will you offer audits, open books?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely we'll have transparency as a must, but in terms of their protections, they'll be protected by securities law in the US. It's everything that we're doing is completely above board. We're working with top legal firms in the US to structure the deals similar to any other traditional bond or asset-backed security offering.
Awesome. Great. All right, we have time for one last question. Tadis asks, how would this work for a private banking use case with an asset-backed currency?
Private banking use case with an asset-backed currency. I'd have some follow-up questions to try and understand more details about what you mean there. Happy to hang out kind of in the chat room and go back and have a back and forth on that.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Thank you so much, Scott, for presenting.
Thanks, Anki. Thanks, Stellar community. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we look forward to your updates. All right, next up is Alfred. All right, Diego, come to the stage. I've invited you to speak. You should have received an invite. Yee. I thought I had hoped that we wouldn't have any. Okay, how do I jump in? Yeah, okay, so why don't you jump out and jump back in, and then I'm going to like ask you again. Oh, I guess you already did that. Crazy. All right, we have a good track record, so let's see if more. Oh, perfect. All right, Diego. Yes, we have you here. Track record is solid. Yeah. Diego, are you able to unmute? You're going to present, right?
Yes, yes. How we doing, guys?
Yeah, doing great. All right, feel free to share your screen. Are you able to take over for me?
Yeah, I believe I can. Give me one quick second.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't have allowed this, but apparently there's a very fancy presentation service.
There's really not. We just wanted to be able to share the product itself. So yeah. Honestly, with the link that you have, Anke, as well, it may work. Give me one quick second. It's telling me to. Anke, do you mind sharing your screen and sharing the link that I shared with you? Walking through the product won't be an issue. I'll just kind of guide you through it, if that's okay.
For sure.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Awesome. Well, we're so happy to be here. We've been working very closely with both the SCF and the SDF for a long time. We were SCF 9 winners, so January of 2022. And honestly, the support of the community has meant everything to our growth and some of the cool things that we've been able to do within the ecosystem. Our initial vision as Alfred, and maybe what a lot of folks know us here at Stellar, was to be a direct-to-consumer product. So something cool like what the Blaze team is building, and optimize cross-border payments via Stellar USDC. In our time as we built out that direct-to-consumer product, something that we started seeing was a lot of friction on the US on-ramping side. But a positive thing was that in parallel to our SCF, we weren't not only proposing a wallet, but also an anchor. And that anchor was an on and off ramp ecosystem within Stellar in the Dominican Republic, which we successfully launched. And through the time of navigating, US on ramping and if we should offer it, if we should not, we ultimately realized to focus fully on Latin America. So our vision still remains extremely, our vision still remains the same, and our focus is still the same, which is ultimately to build Web3 optimized rails on traditional rails and not burn ship on the current system. Ultimately, we say something that is still consistent, that if you guys followed us in all this time, you've probably heard me say it, that we're not going to kill the dinosaur, but we're not going to give it medicine either. And simply what that means is building this technology, but making it as easy as possible for the final consumer. And two of those core products are bank ramps, which is simple on and off ramps via banks. And then another product that we're fired up to announce today is our cash ramps product. So outside of MGI, we are building our own cash infrastructure that is going to enable anyone who is building on Stellar to connect to it simply through SEP24. And it's something that we're launching in 4 corridors. So yeah. Next slide. Yeah, a little bit about us and our team. So we have myself and my co-founder, Matthias. Matthias and I have both been building on Stellar for a pretty long time. And one of our reasons why we decided to pivot to this B2B strategy was because of the addition of 2 core team members, such as Alba Medina and Ernesto Cedillo Jr. They are go-getters within the region, very, very strong BD muscle that has really enabled us to grow our partnerships on the ground there. And it's something that we're very, very excited for. So yeah, if you can proceed to the next video. I have a short video, and then I would love to walk you guys through the product itself. Oh, so this is what was the proof of intent, just to be clear. The proof of intent was to have the anchor running on test environment. It's actually already running on staging environment on mainnet on the Stellar Anchor network, to have the SEP 24 UX UI ready and the SEP endpoints ready as well. So if anyone here is interested in looking at some of those endpoints and considering integrating, I'd be happy to connect with you guys offline and send over some of that documentation.
Awesome. We're coming up on time soon, but I'm gonna play it now. You can talk over it because there's no sound.
Yeah, it had some sound, but it's okay. So ultimately, this is what I mean about the bank ramps. So it's a seamless connection to infrastructure in Latin America, different countries across the region. And this is our cash ramp. So we also have over 60,000 cash in and cash out locations across key geographies in the region that are really dependent on cash, specifically for the remittance use case. And then if you want to go to the next slide, Anke, and here's where I'm going to need a little bit more of your support, it would be walking through like the UX of what that product looks like. So it's a SEP 24 enabled experience. Anke, just go ahead and choose whatever corridor you prefer. So go to the flag and just walk through that. So literally like if you're using a product, just hover over a flag. Yeah, you can continue there. So for cash in Mexico, for example, this is what that experience would look like. This is something that we're going to announce in the next coming weeks, but something we're so excited about. So just go ahead and click Electra right there. Electra is probably the largest cash in and cash out partner in all of Mexico, for those who are familiar with Electra. It's something that Alfred will be the first partner doing USDC cash outs via them, which we're extremely excited about. And yes, this would be running on Stellar. This is what some of the KYC would look like. So if you just want to go to take photo for ID, front and back. There is another optimal way that we'll be connecting to Electra where KYC will be a lot lighter, where we'll just require simple information of the recipient. And then last but not least, once you're already processed within our system, you submit the transaction confirmation. And with that, you're able to go up to your local Electra with a code and withdraw that for local currency. So yeah.
Whoa, that's awesome. I'm glad. I hope I was able to do a good job.
Yeah, you did great. You did great.
Awesome.
But yeah, happy to answer any questions here.
Yeah, thank you so much for presenting. I'm taking a look here if there's any questions. All right, it looks like folks are still typing, so I have a question in the meantime. What are some of the geographies that you're kind of targeting here? Maybe you already mentioned, but I would love to know.
So right now we already have banks and cash out in the Dominican Republic via an ATM network. So it's over 3,000 ATMs on the ground in the DR. We're going to be launching ATM in Guatemala September 1st. So it's the same exact infrastructure. It's called 5B is a network of ATMs that we'll be working with there. And then we're launching coming up on Meridian. We're going to launch our Electra partnership, where we're doing some heavy marketing on that front. And yeah, specifically catered to Stellar. I said this is a solution with Electra that we're going to be launching specifically with Stellar. And in Argentina, we also have cash ramps as well. So both bank and cash ramps. I think that the use case for Argentina is beautiful because you're looking at a country that, from last week to this week has gone through insane inflation. And now we're really enabling the cash economy to go into over 15,000 stores and buy Stellar USDC directly in these different retail points. So something that we're really fired up about. We're really head down and focused in continuing to add geography support and making it as easy as possible for other wallets and products to integrate with us. We know that there's a lot of regulatory hurdles into getting access to some of this infrastructure, but our team is really working into enabling this and making it accessible to all the wallets, considering that they have all the right compliance things checked off.
Awesome. That's super powerful. That it's really exciting. Keep us updated on that too, how it goes. Definitely would love to hear more. Last question. So Morgan asks, this market is pretty foreign to me, but curious to hear what volume of cash in, cash out you expect for your first year.
Oof, man. Mexico is obviously a humongous market. $60 billion in remittances. 95% of that is picked up in cash. And ultimately, when you're talking about a user-friendly experience using USDC and cash as a medium of reception, it doesn't really exist yet. And MoneyGram is great, but there's still UI hurdles. You're having a lot of folks such as digital nomads that are using this technology, but for the folks who actually need the remittance in Mexico, it's something that is over their head. Either smartphone is too complicated, downloading a wallet with crypto is too complicated. And we're launching a product in parallel to this with Electra that is a SMS product where you're able to receive literally a code to a phone that doesn't have to be a smartphone. And with the SMS, you go with your ID and withdraw that at a local Electra. And we really believe that that's going to power the acceleration of a lot of these cash receptions in these markets, simply because we're abstracting all of the crypto part of the experience. So my grandma doesn't have to have a Vibrant wallet. My aunt doesn't have to have a Vibrant wallet. They can just simply receive an SMS code to their phone and cash out their Mexican pesos through a USDC on Stellar remittance. So ultimately, for us as builders, we just need to make this as user-friendly as possible, and then allow other wallets, like a lot of folks that are on this call, to bring those customers to our corridors to drive the volumes. But one last point that is very important too, in difference to what's happening today in MoneyGram. MoneyGram works with, in Mexico, like Oxxos, Farmacia de Ahorro, and different retail points. The difference with Electra is that Electra is literally a bank. So when you walk into an Electra, you're never going to have cash liquidity issues. They can cash out as much as possible, considering that you have the right compliance process taken care of, and they never run out of cash. So they have unlimited cash on hand that they're able to pay out, and there's not liquidity issues on that front, both for cash in and cash out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Diego. We're definitely on time. This sounds super powerful, so keep us updated on what's happening. And oh, wow, he already left so quickly. All right, well, we have our next project ready here. Let me go back to the pitches. Next up is Analivio stablecoin payouts. Great. Ernesto, are you ready? Are you able to move the slides?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Hold on, I'm checking. There. Yeah, I can move the slide. So I will start now.
All right, take it away.
Thank you. I'm going to talk to you today about Unalivio. Let me start by sharing about the team. My name is Ernesto Contreras. I'm the founder and CEO of Unalivio. I've been in my business for about 19 years with marketing and business development. 7 of them have been working in crypto, including being an early team member of LATAM's unicorn Bitso and growing Dash globally with a heavy focus on integrations in LATAM. I've participated in many crypto projects, and in 2020, I led the integration of Dash into hundreds of points of sale in Venezuela, and that's when I met my CTO and business partner, Antonio. Antonio is electronics. It's blinking the platform. I don't know. Can you see it well? Because it's blinking for me.
Yeah.
All right. So
I can. Antonio, other people too?
Yeah. Cool. Antonio is the former CTO of Glufco, a payment startup in Venezuela. And among other things, he launched the first or one of the largest NFT projects in Venezuela called Chihuiraland. He's experienced in many projects, including points of sale solution. Fabian, our lead engineer, develops Glufco's financial payment app and OTC desk. He is an engineer also, and he's got Node.js, Laravel, and experience developing smart contracts for NFTs. The problem we're working on solving is the remittance problem. When you're sending money to someone, not only it is expensive and it's complicated, and it's difficult, but many times it's opaque. I don't know if the money I'm sending for medicines is actually being used for medicines. And that's why we built Unalivio. Unalivio allows small and medium businesses to sign up to our system So the person that needs to have something paid can communicate to the person that's going to pay. The person that's going to pay goes to Unalivio, selects the service that they're going to pay, and then they pay with just a simple interface of an invoice-like solution. In short, Unalivio is an ecosystem of products and services that is enabled for easy ways to pay all around the world. The way the funds flow is Unalivio is very Web 2 in the front end, takes the payments, converts them into a stable coin, and then pays in a stable coin for merchants. This is very, very good, especially for merchants in developing nations, because they cannot get access to USD bank accounts. And the Soroban integration will allow us to do this in an automated way via smart contracts. The product is now live. You can go to unalivio.com and you'll see the first product that we're working with. And the payment for services for doctors is the one that I'm going to demo for you right now. Let me show you how it works on the next video. As you can see, I'm going to show you two interfaces. The first one is for the users. You go online, you click connect with Google, populates your data, and then you select what product you want to pay. Automatically displaying the price of what you're going to pay, and then you create the order, and then that order can be shared via email. So I can create the order and say, hey, Anke, can you please pay for this? Once the person that's going to pay receives the order, they just pay in the same way that you would pay Amazon or any other service. Once you click pay, the order is paid, and the merchant already receives the order that's been paid, and that's it. So the way it would work from the other side, let's say the doctor that just received an order, they sign up to our website, they have a list of all the orders they have received. You can click on the exact order and see the details. If you can see, that's the order that I just created. And then when they want to withdraw the money, they go to funds and they click retirar or withdraw. Once you withdraw, you select Stellar, USDC on Stellar. You input the wallet address, any data and the amount, and then you just withdraw, and that's it. Now, the part that we're all here for. How are we going to use Soroban on this? We started to build Unalivio with two initial use cases in mind. The first initial use case is doctors connecting their wallets with Freighter wallet or something similar, so that will make the cash out very efficient. You're going to interact with a smart contract and receive your money in the same way that you buy or share an NFT. Also, we'll be able to share an invoice. So 10 people can connect their wallets and everybody inputs, let's say, $10. And when the $100 are paid, the smart contract automatically pays the doctors. And then down the line, we of course know that we can gamify this system, given perks, payouts, and other NFTs for the people that are connected. And of course, this is going to enable us to connect to all the DeFi solutions that I see you guys are building and have built on Stellar and on Soroban. For the next part, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the links so you guys can play with it. The cash-in is in Sandbox, so you just need to put 42, 42, 42, and you'll be able to create the order. And we're ready to hear your thoughts, comments, and questions. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ernesto, for presenting. This is great. Super excited for your project as well. All right, we have some questions here. Ash asked, great project, Ernesto. Which corridors are being targeted to begin with?
We're beginning with Venezuela. Venezuela is a place that hits all the nails to start this project. Number one, people want access to dollars. Number two, there are not too many competitors there. And number three, I didn't mention it, but I am Venezuelan. Although I live in Mexico and my team is in Venezuela, this creates a perfect match for us to start hitting the ground there and be a big winner in Venezuela.
Awesome. Sounds like folks here are very excited for that. Diego says, Viva Venezuela, and Dico says, let's go. There's another question. So if I'm going in order, Morgan asks, every business that you will onboard will have to support your merchant solution next to the regular cash card. How will you entice these businesses to onboard?
Yeah, well, initially, the first benefit for them is that they'll be able to have a USD bank account that right now they don't have. If you go to any place that is financially distressed, Venezuela, Argentina, Cuba, they all want dollars, but they cannot open bank accounts in dollars. So that is one of the first benefits they will get. Number two, we're making it very easy for the user to get. So this is going to enable them to get additional sales that they're not getting now. And number three, this is free of charge for the merchants. So they have nothing to lose to add us.
Awesome. All right, we have another question here from Ephraim. Remittances and payments in general are both super overcrowded, especially in LATAM. What's Unalivio's unique selling point?
Yeah, well, one of the first unique selling points that we have is that we're giving clarity to the person that's paying a remittance. Me as a remittance sender, every month when I send money to my family, I'm left wondering if what I sent is enough, if they actually use the money that I sent for the purpose that they wanted. So clarity and ease of use is one of them. Number two, we're starting like I think Blaze mentioned, we're starting in a niche that is underserved now. And number three, we have a lot of experience doing this from previous work. So we're going to take all of this together and apply it to our go-to-market strategy.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited for that. It looks like we're a little bit on time, but there's lots of questions here still in the chat. So I definitely recommend you to take a look and answer accordingly. Thank you so much, Ernesto. All right. Looks like we are ready for our last project. Last but not least, we have Nebula and Quasar. So I welcome Eloy to the stage. Hi, Eloy. How are you doing?
Hi, hello. I'm doing great. Thank you, Anke.
Yeah, super excited. All right. Is Darren joining you or just you?
I think I'm going to be just me.
All right, just Eloy. Well, I'm very excited for this last project pitch. So take it away. Are you able to move your slides?
Let me check.
Just click next.
I just click on next.
At the remote. Yeah,
now.
Perfect.
Okay, now. Okay, thank you. Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Eloy. I work for Aker, and today we are going to talk about the Nebula and Quasar projects. But first of all, let's talk about us, right? Aker is a Web3 engineering company, currently headquartered in Finland and working globally. We help leading ecosystem scale-ups and developing their core technologies by providing expert teams on the different Web3 areas. Well, I know these all are fancy words, but it is also true that they are backed by the feedback of some of our well-known partners like 4G or Alio. Specifically for the Nebula team, it is formed by Geoffrey, Marius, and myself. We have a very diverse background here. It's a self-balanced team, and yeah, we're doing great, to be honest. For us, let's talk about the projects themselves. Our initial proposal is composed by two projects. The first one is Nebula, which is a Soroban contract library. It provides ready-to-use security audited contracts. It also provides a contract wizard UI, so users are able to compose contracts, right, and to browse the contract catalog. We are going to see this in the demo later. And we are going to also provide governance and yield building instrument, and also building new modules like crypto and mathematical models. Then we have Quasar, which is a Soroban indexer for indexing data, providing analytics of the Soroban ecosystem through GraphQL APIs. But today we are going to focus on Nebula. How Nebula helps the Soroban ecosystem? Okay, we think it's going to reduce the entry barrier to Soroban, specifically for new developers and new institutions also. We are going to also provide trust to the Soroban community with security audited code. And also, we want to generate community around this contract library, okay? It is not only being us building the contracts, but we want to get in touch with the community. We want to see general use cases so developers can just have these general use contracts available and well documented, okay? We also think that all of this is going to increase the development of the decentralized applications. And also, while we are building all of this, okay, we are developing our own knowledge and our ideas and tools, and we are going also to put them available for other developers. What we have built so far, okay, we have 2 general use smart contracts in the repository. We are going to share the link to the repository later. We have a proposal voting contract and a raffle contract. These 2 contracts are just the proof of intent of our project, okay? So we just entered in contact with the community, with the technology, and so on. While developing these contracts, we also realized that it would be good to have some kind of external contract import tool. Currently we can import local compiled contracts, but yeah, definitely we have a discussion in the repository. We would love to hear from your feedback there. And we also created an initial version of the Wizard UI. The Wizard UI is currently live at this URL. Agar.co is a GitHub-based place. And I think we can just see it in a demo. And doing the demo. I think we can buy. Okay. So if we enter in that tool, the Wizard UI is gonna load, and it's gonna load dynamically all the contracts of the repository. We can change basic things of the contract. Okay. In the future, we are going to be able to add new features to the contracts and increase their complexity, reduce their complexity. All of this needs to be studied. And also, we have the invoke button, right, on each public function of the contract that provides the Soroban CLI command just to be able to invoke it quickly in a terminal. So this is more or less the idea. We do not intend here to have a full fledged code editing feature, okay? But the important thing is that the user can do everything through the UI, right? Through buttons from checkbox, so it is very easy for them to compose the contracts, right? And that's all. I think then we have the Monaco experience, of course, of the editor, and we are just improving this day to day. Next slide. Not sure. Okay, yeah, finally, let's collaborate. We know that there are many other teams writing contracts for the Soroban platform, so we would like to bring them into our Wizard UI and challenge it, right? To see if we are able to generalize this tool. And we have our repository already opened there. All the things we are doing are open source, so apart from the discovery efforts we are doing in the community, if you think you have a general use case, please just visit us. You open a new visit, say hi, and we will be pleased of working with you. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for presenting. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, Morgan says like this is a cool idea. I'm excited to read through your contract library and love the UX of the Nebula Wizard. So Morgan,
thank you so
lots
much.
of love.
Thank you so much.
All right,
nice.
Let me see if I can find. So Ephraim asks, Nebula sounds great for new Soroban developers. Who will audit the smart contracts, and why should project trust them?
That's a good question. We are the contracts are going to be audited by specific teams, specific security teams, and also the community, of course. That's the level of trust. The contracts are planned to be reviewed with periodically, right, with security audits. That's the idea. Yeah,
makes total sense. And definitely, folks, ask questions here in the chat. In the meantime, I have a question. So you mentioned a lot about Nebula, not too much about Quasar. So we'd love to know what are the updates on Quasar?
Yeah, we don't have we still don't have too much updates in Quasar. Okay, we are completely focused right now in Nebula, and yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Matthias has a question. Ilo, can you name a few of the security teams you've engaged with? Burn, for instance.
I am more. I am currently more in the part of development, and I think all these things are currently ongoing. But yeah, we will provide a list of them once all of these security audits begin, for sure.
All right, I see some folks typing.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah, like we definitely have room for one more question. Do people have more questions? Checking. Cool. Well, in the meantime, Eloy, what do you? Because have you worked? Because I think like you've mentioned, your team has worked with smart contracts before, like correct, with other blockchain protocols. What's special about Soroban?
Yeah. Well, we were closely watching the Stellar community from 2014 at the company. Okay, and. Yeah, we loved the interoperability idea of the Stellar community, and definitely when we saw that, the Soroban platform is going to provide Rust smart contracts with all the benefits that this language provides, it definitely caught our attention. Yeah.
Awesome! Wow, that's since the very beginning. That's an achievement, I would say. Awesome. Well, welcome to the Soroban ecosystem now as well, and super excited to have you on board. And thank you again for presenting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, this one. Yeah, awesome. So that is actually the end of our present pitches today. Short but sweet. I promised it. I mentioned it to you. So yeah, if you're not already part of our vibrant community, definitely join us. We now have a verified status, an automatic kind of like way to become verified. And if you actually have a minimum amount of badges that's documented in the SDF handbook, you can actually get the Pathfinder role, which is definitely the next step in verified tier status. There will be more updates. So in total, we have like verified, we have Pathfinder, we have a navigator and pilot, and there will be more updates on that soon. But become verified, and that's your first step in the verified journey. I said verified a lot of times. Great. All right, and let's go to the next slide. So there's also some more resources. If you want to learn more or check out these amazing projects, they're all on the Community Fund website. So if you go to communityfund.stellar.org to projects, that's where you can find these amazing projects. Also, the handbook has all of our rules, and obviously the Discord has all the communication. Great, well, thank you so much for joining. Again, if you loved this session, or if you hated this session, let us know. I think I'll put, this one. I'll put the link here if you want to leave some comments, questions. I would love to know what you thought. Let me see if I can find the link again that I mentioned eons ago. Too much chat. But again, thank you for everyone presenting. Thank you to everyone who joined here and engaged with the presenters. And yeah, let us know what you thought. It's also fine if you didn't like it, you know. We want to improve it always for next time as well.